my name's Katie Robertson. I'm the founder and director for the Anchor Gathering, and I want to officially welcome you to the Anchor at Home. We are so glad you're tuning in. If you're in a watch party with family and friends, want to thank all of you hosts out there, or if you're tuning in on your own, we're so thankful you're with us tonight. We've got a great evening planned, and we'd like to begin with a special message from a dear friend of the Anchor. Her name is Paula, and she's all the way from the East Coast, and some of you were able to hear her last month with her new friend, and we wanted to apologize for some of our technical difficulties we had if you were tuning in for our live stream. We wanted to make sure you all got to hear, so we are going to hear from her now and some special fun footage of our Anchor in person. So let's take you now to Paula on the East Coast.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, you guys. Okay, so listen, I don't even know what part of the Anchor we're coming in at right now. We're probably interrupting something. But my name's Paula, if you haven't met me yet. I love these parts. I'm pretty new a little bit, but I got someone that's even newer. Can I just introduce to you my favorite gal pal? I mean, seriously, this is Rita.
I'm Rita.
Rita.
Yes.
And Rita has never been here before.
Never.
I mean, this is the first time at the Anchor.
I've been around, but not here.
Okay. So listen, so we thought that it would be really fun because you got some new friends too, that we would tell you a little bit about the Anchor, and I'm going to tell my friend Rita a little bit about the Anchor. And I suppose that if she has some questions,
I'm here for it.
They're the same questions you have too.
And
so if you got questions, you just ask the questions. I might not have the answers, but I'll try. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So listen. So first things first, Rita. So here we are, okay?
Yes.
There's all the ladies all around the world, and they're like watching the Anchor Gathering, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you know how, if you were gonna get together with your girls, do you know how to get on? How do you watch this thing?
Get on.
Get on the anchorgathering.com.
No.
Okay, so it's on the YouTube. Do you know the YouTube is?
No.
It's not like the boob tube, like back in the day. It's like the YouTube.
No, I know what the boob tube is. I don't know what the YouTube is. No, tell me more about it. So the only thing I subscribe to is Rita's Digest.
Rita's Digest.
I call it Rita's Digest. Yes.
Chicken soup for the soul situation.
So what does it mean to subscribe to something?
So you got to subscribe to the YouTube, so that way you get the like links in your email or something like that.
Okay.
And then it tells you when there's an Anchor.
Okay.
So you can invite your friends and you can watch the thing.
Love it. Who are we gonna bring?
I mean,
Daniela.
Sarah.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat.
Jen.
Patty. Jen.
Yeah. Montanelli.
All your friends have fun names.
Well, we're from the Jersey Shore, so it's Italian.
Sure. And then you invite your friends, and we get the snacks.
Love it.
And then we watch
the cannoli.
The cannoli.
The cannoli.
Cannoli. Your cannoli
I love
kills
cannoli.
me. It's so good. Okay. And so you get the cannoli, you get the friends, and then you subscribe to the thing.
Got it.
And then we do
With the mouse.
Yes. And then we do the watch party.
Wonderful. What does that mean?
The watch party. So that's like.
Now I've done a watch party before. I'll tell you, I take my neighbor's blinds and I
no,
peek down and I go,
not that kind of a watch party.
Okay,
no, this is a little bit
Tell
more.
me more.
This is like a kosher watch party.
Okay.
And then afterwards, you turn off the YouTube, and then you chat with your friends, and you have hot talk.
Love it.
Like real hot.
And you talk about God.
You talk about God.
I love it.
It's fantastic.
I love it.
Do you understand all the things about the Anchor now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
So Paula, if I want to do a watch party,
Oh yeah.
how do I do it?
Oh my
What
gosh.
do I do?
Oh my gosh. You go on to the anchorgathering.com.
Got it.
And then you click on I want to be a watch party hostess.
Which is
and
what
then
I want to do.
That's
Paula.
what you want to do.
That's what I want to
It's
do.
like you're made for it, you know?
I'm ready.
And so then you invite the friends, you get all the information, and
Got
it tells you everything you need to do. I mean, it's like a party in a box. Oh, and the other thing, I mean, it's coming up, it's Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah. So tell me what you're doing for Valentine's Day.
Well,
you got yourself a hunk.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do. I've had him for a long time. You know,
Okay.
pretty faithful to one hunk.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
But never underestimate a woman powered by caffeine and prayer. Okay, Rita? I mean, seriously.
I got myself a nice little hunk. I got him at the gym.
That's-
I was doing a little workout and this little hunk came up to me and I said, what are you doing on Valentine's Day? He said, something with you. I said, you got it.
This is why you need to invite your friends to the Anchor.
Yeah.
Because they all need anchoring in their
Yes,
life.
yes.
My friend here, she needs anchoring. And so we're going to get together, and you know what? Your life is going to be changed, okay?
Love it.
Thank you so
Love
much
it,
for
love
being
it,
here.
love it, love
oh
it.
my gosh.
Love it.
See you guys soon.
So we're so excited and we are dreaming big. We want to share this good news of Jesus to women everywhere.
go back to Jesus and become anchored in Him.
I believe that you and I are often bad listeners because we have a hard time getting beyond ourselves.
Listening is, when it's done well, it has an effect on the souls of the people around us.
To love well is to listen well.
Until next time, stay anchored, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, Paula and Rita. You always make us smile. And so great to see that footage. Thank you to all of you who joined us that evening. Well, we are dreaming big, and we want to share the good news of Jesus and the love and forgiveness, relationship, and abundant life He brings to women everywhere. And we really would love your help to come on board as a watch party host and open your home, inviting more women in to hear about this good news. And we'd also love if you could share this YouTube link with anyone near or far that needs to hear this message of hope in Jesus. Well, at this time, it is an honor to introduce to you our special music guest for this evening. Her name is Aubrey Cleland, and she is a singer and actress from West Linn, Oregon. And I'd like to share some very fun facts about Aubrey. First of all, she has been a top finalist for American Idol Season 12. She has been in several movies. One to mention is a Marvel movie called The Black Widow and several Netflix movies. And she's also been a backup vocalist for Lady Gaga in the Grammys. Her hope and prayer is that she would inspire and point others to the Lord. So we are so grateful we get to hear from her this evening. Let's hear now from Aubrey Cleland.
Hi everyone, my name is Aubrey Cleland. I am so honored to be here at the Anchor singing for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this song. It's very inspirational to me and it's been a favorite of mine for years now. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us when we go and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer. just like every child needs to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe. En la fede che hai acceso in noi, sento che ci
Well, thank you, Aubrey, for that beautiful song and prayer. It resonates so much with each one of our hearts. It's time for our anchor moment now, and the anchor moment is a time we get to hear from a guest a little bit about their lives, a little bit about their faith journey, and about an anchor moment, a time in their life where their faith has been grounded, where they've seen Jesus to be real. Really, it's a short testimony of how God has been at work in their lives. So tonight, I am so thankful we get to have Kaitlin Vintertun join us. Kaitlin, welcome into my home here in Gig Harbor, Washington.
Thank you.
So glad you're here. So I think I'm just going to get started with our questions. So first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you for having me. So my name is Kaitlin Vintertun. I live in Duval, Washington with my husband and our golden retriever, Ellie. For work, I am executive director of an organization that recruits and trains women to run for public office. I just love working with women and empowering them to get involved in their communities in that way.
Let's hear a little bit about that moment.
Absolutely. So I've had a few anchor moments, but there's certainly one that stands out. So I'll kind of have to start at the beginning of my marriage for this one. So when my husband and I got married, I was 22 years old, so fairly young. We talked a lot about what we thought our life would look like and dreamt about what we wanted it to look like. And of course, having children was a part of that conversation. After a few years of marriage, my husband was feeling ready to start having babies, and I wasn't yet. And so we put it off a little while, and then I still wasn't ready, and we put it off again, and we put it off again. And as time went on, I was feeling less ready instead of more ready. And so my husband was feeling frustrated because this is a conversation we'd had, although we'd only had that conversation abstractly. Like, one day we'll have babies. And when the time came for trying to get pregnant and starting a family, my heart just wasn't there. And so really it was a dark place in our relationship and in my life. That topic had came up pretty regularly for us. And I felt a lot of guilt and shame. I didn't have a lot of married friends that felt the way that I felt. We had said for sure that we were gonna have kids before we got married. And then in that moment, I wasn't there. And I prayed for God to just change my heart and my mind. Just give me that baby fever feeling and we can be done with this. And I didn't really understand why I seemed to be programmed differently on that front, and I just really wanted something to change, and I prayed for it. So fast forward, we've been married about 5 years, and we were in the kitchen, and my husband was reading a local news article, and it was on foster care in Washington State. How many foster children there are, that there aren't enough foster families, and these kids that had already been through so much adversity, and then they didn't have a place or a family to call home. And he got done reading this article out loud, and we both had tears in our eyes, and we looked at each other, and it was just this light bulb moment. Like, we have room in this house. We could be foster parents. But we didn't want to do something so big, make a decision like that. You can't do it on a whim. And so we decided we're gonna take a week, not talk about it together, do our own research, and come back together in a week and figure out if we're really serious about this big thing. And so that was on a Friday. We go to church on Sunday, and it's a guest pastor, and his whole sermon was about family might not be exactly what you expect it to look like. Even that sometimes it's not blood that makes a family. And actually this pastor was an adoptive father. And so my husband and I are sitting there like elbowing each other. Oh man, like God's talking to us, isn't he? But we held true to our word. We didn't talk about it together. We did our own research on what it looks like to parent kids from hard places, what trauma looks like in a child and as they grow up into an adult, and the ins and outs of the foster care system. And we reconvened a week later, and we were both more sure than we were a week prior that we were meant to become foster parents. It's really, in terms of a big life decision, I've never been more sure that that's what God had planned for me and for us. So next step was getting licensed, which we did. That takes some time. It took us a little under a year, and we actually had not even received our license in the mail yet when we got an email about a 4-year-old boy who needed a home. So we took that boy into our home and we fostered him for 2 years, and then last year we adopted him, and so that is our son Xavier. And we cannot imagine what our lives would be like if he wasn't our son. It feels like that was always God's intention for us and our lives together. And the love that we feel for him and the bond that we share with him, it's so overwhelming. It's so beyond what we ever thought possible. And really, I think that's a feeling that all first-time parents get. You think you know love, and then you have a kid and you're like, wait, this is love. And so it's just been really special. It's been an incredible experience. Not to say it hasn't been challenging, because it has been that too, but we actually just relicensed and we are going to do it again. So we will probably get another foster care placement sooner rather than later. When I look back at my prayers during that time, like, just give me a new thought in my head. Give me baby fever feeling. It makes me laugh because the plans that God had for me were so much better than my humble suggestions to him of how we could fix this problem. And it brings me back to Ephesians 3:20, him who is able to do immeasurably more than all you ask or imagine, according to his power at work within you. And so often when people find out we're foster parents, they say, oh, you guys are so amazing, you're so selfless, you guys are the best, you have such pure hearts. And it's not really true. It's just that God put this on our hearts, and it is through his will and his strength and his power that we're able to do it. And so this anchor moment in my life just served as this really strong reminder of when you're in a dark time and you can't see the way out, or you think you see the way out in your earthly understanding, that if you can just make yourself available to the Lord, the plans that he has for us are so much better than the plans that we've made for ourselves.
Wow, that is an incredible, encouraging message. Thank you so much. I think it's really a reminder, like you said, for all of us, how God is at work in each one of our lives to do more than we could ask or imagine. When we really say yes, like you have, and just trust him, he's got the perfect plan. So thanks again, Kaitlin, for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Well, now it's time for our drawing, and tonight we have 2 items. We've got our classic navy blue glassy baby etched with our Anchor logo, and we also have a book that's written by our speaker. We will be hearing from her in just a few moments. The book is called A Little Bit About a Lot of Things, and it is truly hot off the press. So we're excited about hearing about this here in a few minutes, and there's a few ways you can get your name in here. First of all, you can go to the QR code. You can ask your watch party host. It's in that watch party kit, or go to our website, theanchorgathering.com, sign in there, or our YouTube description box. You'll find a place there. You can put your name in. We'll be looking for all your names, and you've got until 9 o'clock tonight. We will announce the winner first thing tomorrow morning. Good luck to you all. Well, it is a privilege to get to introduce to you our speaker for tonight. Her name is Leslee Stewart, and she is from Frisco, Texas. She's had many titles. First of all, she's been a reporter, she's been a communications executive, a ministry leader, she's been a wife of 25 years, and a mother of 2 teenage boys. We are so excited she's with us tonight to share more of her story and a little bit about her book. So let's hear now from Leslee Stewart.
Hello, Anchor ladies. It is a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Leslee Stewart. I am an author and a speaker, a mom of 2 teenage sons, and a wife to John for 25 years. I want to say a special thanks to Katie for inviting me to share a message with you all. And I want to give a special shout out to Joy Zorn and Rachel Mitchell, who are good friends who introduced me to the Anchor Gathering. And I just want to say thanks for that. So today I want to share a story with you about how God has been teaching me to lean on Him when I honestly feel like my world is unraveling. You know, I can't think of a more fear-filled time in our world than the last few years. I'm not sure about you, but experience a global pandemic was nowhere on my bucket list for my life. I'm sure it wasn't on yours either. You know, empty grocery store shelves. Fear was telling us to get vaccinated. Fear was telling us not to get vaccinated. Fear was all over our social media scrolls. And fear was honestly in the eyes of everyone that we met during that season, because honestly, this was all we could really see of each other for quite some time. It's like the pandemic was this giant tide that came in, right? And then once it went out, it exposed all of these fragile foundations that we've been building our lives upon. I'd known a few friends who had lost loved ones due to issues related to COVID-19, but no one in our immediate family had been directly impacted. And while my heart was sad and heavy for my friends who had experienced a loss, I honestly felt this sort of false sense of security. But then in July of 2021, that false sense of security, well, it just fell apart. My precious brother-in-law, Jason, was diagnosed with COVID, and a very short 7 weeks later, he lost his life after battling it for a number of weeks due to complications from the virus. Losing Jason hit me in a very different way and more deeply than anything that I had experienced before. There was something about his death that exposed something very vulnerable in me. I honestly couldn't control or make sense of what had happened, and that frustrated me. And then when people would try to comfort me with like sort of what I would call pat or cursory, comments about death or loss or God's plan, it honestly just made me so angry. I started to feel like my soul was unraveling. It was as if Jason's death set in motion this ball of yarn rolling down a hill, unraveling and uncovering all of these tender places in my heart. And try as I might to run after it and try to gather it up and wind it back up, protect myself from what I was feeling, I just couldn't catch it. A few weeks after Jason's funeral, this effect of the unraveling started to really show up in my life. At home, I was, numbing out, scrolling through way too much social media, watching way too much television, eating whatever I felt like, not moving my body. I was honestly shutting myself off from friends and people and community. I couldn't sleep. Then the unraveling started showing up at my job. The one environment where I have always tried my very hardest to never, ever come undone. In the midst of this sort of private unraveling that I was walking through, I had a meeting with my boss for just our normal weekly one-on-one. And during the conversation, he asked me a question. He said that a senior leader in our organization had come to him and asked if he thought I was as committed to the organization as I had once been. Now, maybe my boss brought this to my attention as a way to have a conversation about what I was going through and my focus and my intention at that time. But the way it was presented, and more importantly, the way I received it, it caused that ball of yarn that I was just barely holding together to spiral wildly out of control. I felt attacked. And instead of staying quiet in the moment, I spoke up and I spoke out and I felt vulnerable and I remember my voice trembling and I was crying as I was trying to defend myself in this moment. I couldn't believe that I had found myself in this place of just feeling so misunderstood, misperceived, misplaced. I went home and I told my husband about what had happened. And I knew that my reaction to this question that my boss had posed to me, my reaction was not normal. It was not a normal way that I would have responded. And I was concerned at kind of my behavior, if I'm being totally honest with you. I knew I needed to talk to somebody, and I needed to find kind of an objective voice that could help me navigate all of these feelings that I was having. Someone who might help me not completely lose it, or if I'm being honest, not lose my job in the midst of this unraveling feeling. So the day after I unraveled in the office, I reached out to Lisa, who was a Christian therapist who I'd known about through some other friends who had utilized her services. And we set up our first appointment for the following week. And over that first appointment with Lisa, I started sharing about Jason. I told her about how he had been in my life for more than 25 years, how he was my husband's only brother, only sibling, and best friend, how he was an amazing uncle to our sons, and how our family was and wasn't coping with his loss. And with kindness and patience, Lisa listened to this story that I was unpacking for her. And she began to talk to me about the stages of grief and how what I was feeling was very normal in terms of processing grief. And she said, loss highlights areas of our lives where we feel powerless to change. When we allow God to surface these things, these emotions that we're feeling, that what he does with them is he actually uses them to bring healing to our hearts and to our lives. So Lisa encouraged me to trust the process of the unraveling. In fact, I'll never forget what she said. She said, don't be afraid to lean in to the unraveling. What's left will be the truest essence of who you are. And I remember I left that appointment with her, and that phrase, lean into the unraveling, was just resonating in my ears. I didn't really know what she meant. And in fact, I thought it was risky. I'm someone who's always tried to keep it together, wherever I am, but especially at my job. Just knew there was something about what she was telling me that made me curious. Like, what if I leaned into the unraveling? What would happen, right? What if I trusted God with all of this hurt and pain that I didn't want to surface? What would happen if I actually did that? Somehow my heart knew that I could trust the wisdom that Lisa was telling me. Maybe at the end of all this unraveling, I would find some purpose whenever I reached the end. So a few days after I had met with Lisa, I was cleaning off the photos on my phone. You know how you get that notification that says, nope, no more room. You've got to start cleaning this stuff off. We're out of memory and storage. And I happened upon a video that I had forgotten completely about. It was taken, more than a year previously while I was on a trip to Tampa, Florida for a women's conference. We were gathered around the kitchen table kind of late at night. It was around 10 o'clock, I remember. And, we were snacking, we were in our pajamas, we were doing what you do when you're on a girls' weekend, right? And one of my friends had gotten to Tampa the day before me. Leslie, have you had a chance to ride Beverly's bike? And I was like, that is the weirdest question. Why are you asking me about this? I said, no, what are you talking about? And about this time, Beverly's in the kitchen and she hears my friend Blakeney ask this question about the bike. And she's like, oh yes, Leslie, you need to ride my bike. So everybody got up from the table and headed out to the garage and to the front driveway. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go ride this bike. So I went in the bedroom, I threw on my tennis shoes. Y'all, I didn't even bother to put on a bra because I was like, it's 10 o'clock at night. Who's going to be out here seeing me try to ride some bike, right? So I go out to the driveway and there's everybody gathered at the end of the driveway, and I can't quite see what's on the other side of them. So I sort of make my way through the crowd, and on the other side of the driveway, there is Beverly standing there next to, honestly, something that did not actually look like a bicycle to me at all. It was just this thing. It did not look at all like a bicycle. And I remember I looked at Beverly and I was like, what is that? And she says, it's a street strider. Let me show you how it works. And so Beverly, who, let me just add, ladies, is in her late 60s and looks like she's in her early 40s. She grabs the handlebars, she stands on this thing, she puts her feet on these pedals, platforms, whatever you want to call them, And with a couple of gentle rotations, she was off. And you all, she looked amazing. She is just gliding down the dark neighborhood streets in Tampa. You know, the street lights are on, and she looks like she is just having the time of her life. So she rides the bike down the street, she turns it around, she comes back, and I'm standing there watching like, wow, this is amazing, right? And she hops off and she's like, okay, Leslee, it's your turn. This is the point in the story where I tell you that I have a love-hate relationship with bike riding. I was a late bloomer when it comes to bike riding, and I did not actually learn to ride a bike until I was 12 years old. I was afraid of a lot of things, afraid of the dark, afraid of, you know, someone trying to hurt me when there was no reason to be afraid of that. And I was always afraid of falling off of a bicycle. My parents had tried many times, but it took until I was 12 years old to finally build up the courage to get on a bike and learn to ride it. Now, fast forward about 35 years to this dark neighborhood street in Tampa, Florida. Immediately, fear is like all in my ear. It's like I'm hearing all these phrases of like, don't do it. You're gonna make a fool of yourself. You're gonna fall off. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're too fat to move that thing. You are going to look like an idiot. But my heart had just watched Beverly have this amazing experience on the Street Strider, and my heart was going, go for it. I wanted to feel that same joy, that same freedom, that same effortlessness that I had just seen Beverly experience. So I went with my heart. I stepped on the Street Strider, and Beverly was right by my side, holding onto the contraption and keeping it steady as I very wobbly got onto it. And unbeknownst to me, while all this is happening, my friend Blakeney is behind me with her camera on, recording the whole thing. And so now I would like for all of you to see the video of me learning to try to ride a Street Strider for the very first time.
No, you got this, Leslie. Get on it. Oh my gosh, Beverly.
Yeah, you're sure.
Beverly, this is ridiculous.
Okay,
go, you got it. Oh my gosh, I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death. Stop it, Sally. You got it, Leslie.
Look at her going like a pro.
What you can't hear in the video is Beverly coaching me as I am going down the street attempting to ride this contraption. The crazy thing about the Street Strider is in order to make it move, you have to lean. You have to lean your whole body weight into the direction that you want to push the handlebar and push the pedal forward. So Beverly, the whole time I'm on the bike, Beverly's on my side going, okay, lean, good, now lean again, good, now lean, good, oh, you're doing so good, keep leaning, keep leaning. And honestly, ladies, as much as I tried in my own strength and power to get that Street Strider to move, there was no way it would budge if I did not lean in with my whole body toward the direction that I wanted the contraption to go. But when I decided to trust the machine and trust Beverly and what she was saying, when I decided to lean in, it felt scary. It felt unnatural. It felt awkward. It felt weird. It felt super unsafe. Watching this video of me learning to ride this bike, if we can call it that, and I heard God speak to me. I've just walked through this season of losing my precious brother-in-law. I'm feeling like I'm unraveling in my heart and in my emotions. I'm trying to make sense of a very challenging season. And I'm watching this video and I just hear God say, what you did on that Street Strider, that's what you need to do with me. You need to lean in. And I thought back to what Lisa said, you need to lean into the unraveling. At the end of all of this, you will find the true essence of who God's made you to be. God was inviting me to lean in and trust him after Jason died. But placing my trust in his hands over something that big was honestly something I just didn't know if I could do. I knew God was trustworthy. I had a personal relationship with him. But giving over something this hard to him and this hurtful to him, it felt just like riding that Street Strider for the first time. Scary, unnatural, awkward, unsafe. It's no irony that my favorite Bible verse in the whole world is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. This verse has been an anchor for me since I was a kid. When I was at night struggling with my fears of the dark and all the things, that was a verse I would repeatedly come back to. Trust in the Lord, trust in the Lord. And even though I committed that verse to memory when I was younger, many, many years ago, it is amazing how quickly I can forget it when fear has a grip of my heart. And why is that? It's because throughout my life, fear has said to me, don't trust. You need to grip tight to the handlebars of your life, and you need to do your very best, Leslee, to control the outcome in your own strength and power. But God, in his word right there in that verse, he says, you can trust me. And the gentle power of the Holy Spirit throughout my life has continued to whisper, lean in with your whole heart and trust me. Somewhere along the way in my life, between college and career, motherhood, and different moves across the country that our family has had, fear and control had convinced me that leaning on my own understanding was a way better option than trusting God with my whole heart. I thought I could control the outcome of my life way better than God ever could. And while I never completely walked away from my relationship with God, I definitely let go of trusting him and leaning into him. When things got bad, sure, I'd run to God and I'd talk to him and I'd invite him back into the picture, but usually not before I had exhausted all my own effort, all my own strength, and all of my emotions trying to figure it out my way. So looking back on this video of looking back on riding the Street Strider, I had to make a choice that night on Beverly's street to trust her, to trust the bike, to lean it into the direction that I wanted the bike to go, even when it felt unsure and unsteady. That I'm somebody who is leaning in and relying on Jesus as much as I possibly can. I'm giving him all of my fears, all of my desires to control, all of my hopes and my dreams, all of my past and my future days. All of it is in his hands. He is and will forever be the safest, surest place for me to lean and place my confidence. So I want to ask you, if you're struggling to trust God with something big in your life, I want to encourage you to begin leaning into him by doing 3 small things. The first thing is, I want you to talk to him about it. Tell him the things that you're afraid of, just like you would tell a trusted counselor or a trusted friend. Just release it. And there's something beautiful that happens when we verbally tell our biggest fears and concerns and anxieties to the Lord. The peace of the Holy Spirit comes and it begins to settle in our hearts, helping us to see that God really is with us, even in the scariest, most anxious-filled moments of our life. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to find a verse in the Bible that speaks about fear or speaks about placing your trust in God's hands. And I want you to commit it to memory. Now, to help you, I have provided a few of my favorite verses in the handouts that your leaders have. Here's what I want you to do. You can pick one of those, or you can go and research and find one of your own. But once you find your verse, I want you to type it out or write it out on an index card. And I want you to put it someplace that you are always, every day in your life. For me, that's my bathroom mirror. And I keep verses taped up on my bathroom mirror that I am committing to memory or that are really speaking to me in a season that I'm walking through in my life. When we commit God's word to memory, when we hide it in our hearts, this amazing thing happens. When fear comes up against us, we have that treasure stored in our heart and we can speak the truth of God's word about that situation. When I find myself today in situations where I'm feeling out of control or I feel that I'm trying to control everything, one of the first things I say to myself is, trust in the Lord with your whole heart, Leslee, and lean not on your understanding. I go right back to that verse in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. The last thing I want to encourage you to do is I want you to examine your heart. That verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, The first part of it says, trust in the Lord with your whole heart. I think there's a reason it says whole heart and not like 65%, right? It could have said, trust in the Lord with 65% of your heart. If I'm being honest, that's usually my average. I don't always want to trust the Lord with my whole heart. And I have a feeling many of you feel the same way. So what percent of your heart have you committed to trust to the Lord? If it's not the whole 100%, ask yourself why. What are you afraid of? What are you concerned about? I have a feeling when you take a few moments to examine your heart and what percent of trust you're truly putting into His hands, I think the Holy Spirit will reveal some things to you that maybe you just haven't wanted to admit to yourself. And I believe He has peace and healing and answers for you on the other side of that. So in closing, I just want to tell you that our family has learned to move forward in a beautiful way since losing Jason. It hasn't been easy, and honestly, we'll never be the same. I think that's the truth with any loss that we all walk through. But we have seen the kindness and the gentleness of God every single step of the way. Even on the days when I want to grip the handlebars of my life so tight, I can feel Jesus's encouragement to pry my fingers loose and release my grip, lean on Him as I stride forward one pedal at a time, trusting Him completely with this one and only wonderful life that He has given me. And I encourage you to do the very same thing.
Well, thank you, Leslee, for that inspiring message. Such a powerful picture of leaning into the Lord and trusting Him with our whole heart. Well, now at this time, we have a discussion time. Leslee has come up with some questions for us. You can discuss those deeper with your watch party groups or just reflect on those questions on your own. We hope you'll be encouraged. Well, in conclusion, we want to say thank you again so much for tuning in with us tonight. We want to wish you a wonderful month filled with grace and peace that Jesus brings. And until next time, stay anchored, and we'll see you soon.